Let's rock. We have a barking dog, so I'll apologize in advance for
I can
that. Let
hear
me
it.
make sure my audio is set up perfect. It is. Welcome back to Lucas Tigers and Bronze, episode 583. Real
Boom.
quick, gotta give a shout out to Manny from our team. As we're expanding, Cage, people join our team. They want to be a part of what we're doing. Half the time, we don't know what we're doing, but we try to figure it out together as a team. We want to win. We want to enrich people's lives. And he said, I want to start an auction show, kind of recapping the weekend, the week before auctions, and how that's going to affect the market. So it's never easy starting a show. Never easy starting a show alone. I was fortunate, Cage. I had you. Uh, gotta give him
I got
gotta
you,
give him
babe.
some love. Dude,
I
I'll
got
tell you,
you,
man.
babe. No.
Well, I learned a lot from you. I love what's happening right now in the trade market. And I love when I see something that's so different than everybody else.
Ooh.
I'm
I'm excited
always
for this. What's it
We're
going to be?
both very contrarian
are
investors.
contrarian.
We always say like we would have done better if we just put our money into like a crypto punk and died instead of like trading in everything.
Pretty much. Yeah. Our families would have been better off if we bought and dead.
Yeah, or World of Women,
Look what
for
I did.
example.
I killed myself. I got World of Women, exactly.
Dude, with this whole Halliburton Sabonis trade, everyone is saying it's either two bad teams getting worse or the Kings have won the trade. Is that what you're seeing too?
I mean, that's the response. I don't know that I necessarily agree with it. I think the Pacers won the trade.
You've always been a fan of Halliburton. You saw the potential in Halliburton before many others have.
So not only is Hallie a good talent, right, and he's good talent to build around, which is what obviously Indiana is going to be doing now, right? I mean, they're in full tear it down, rebuild mode, right? So think about what's funny on this. What are they going to do with Buddy Held is the question, right? Because Held went over, right?
Healed.
Buddy hit. I call him Buddy Love, right? What are they going to do with him? Are they going to try to trade him now?
I like Buddy Hield. I think he's a great player off the bench.
There's a reason why I ask. And you know what? I'll go through this because I have a feeling why I think they won the trade is different than why you think. I just let a little Freudian slip there. Why do you think Indiana won that trade?
There was this point guard, and I think he's one of the best point guards I've ever seen in my day, and he doesn't get enough love. He was a point guard that dominated. He was a mismatch, and he was actually the guy that
Jason
went to
Williams,
the Warriors.
White Chocolate.
Close, but different style, way different style. He was what I think put the Warriors over the edge. And there was this guy named Sean Livingston, and he had incredible handles. He had an incredible shot. He's not your typical point guard. He was actually like 6'7", and with his wingspan closer to 7 foot. Why I say that is Tyrese reminds me a lot of him in the modern day. The guy is a natural passer and playmaker, but he's actually an incredible scorer. And at that position, he's a huge mismatch for the guy covering him. Imagine when and Carlisle, what you get with Carlisle, even though I'm not a huge fan of him as a coach, he just had Luka. So he knows how to kind of run this modern day offense. And they were the best offensive team when Luka was there originally. Now they're a bit more defensive with Jason Kidd. So imagine 1 year, 2 years down the road where Tyrese really develops as a point guard. Imagine them playing the Hawks, Cage.
Yep.
That is an incredibly difficult matchup for Trae Young because you have a guy across from you who could do everything you can do, but is significantly bigger and longer. So, one, I think Tyrese is a superstar in this league. I think he's a superstar talent. And what's interesting is you look at the Pacers and the Kings and you say both are losing franchises. But that's not the case here. One is a perennial losing franchise. The other is a winning franchise that had a few rough years, so to speak. But Indiana is kind of the home of basketball. A lot of people don't realize Hoosiers is from Indiana. They have as passionate fans as they come. That they're going to be building something for the future there. And when they do it right, that fan base is going to get behind them. There is no fan base in Sacramento, hence why no one buys people's cards from Sacramento.
That's right.
So those are a few of the many reasons why if you could ever give up, and let's talk about the other side of the deal. Let's talk about Sabonis because I talked about him a little bit before, Cage. And I know this is very X's and O's, but this is the kind of stuff I very, very, very much enjoy. Sabonis, if you look at his box score, which I think most people do, you think this guy's an all-star, incredible talent, all that stuff, right? Double-double machine, often triple-double machine, dominates, high field goal percentage, all that stuff. And I doubt a lot of people watch Pacers games. If you actually watch how he plays, you're never going to win with that guy. Because maybe in 1980 and 90, when basketball was inside out, now you have to be able to shoot threes. And if teams are constantly trading these difficult buckets, these difficult two-pointers for threes, they're going to lose. And you see that. And he's a very undersized forward that pads the stat sheet, that gets incredible numbers. But in modern NBA, and I like his game, I like Sabonis, in modern NBA, it's very difficult to win with that player. And he is not a superstar by any means, whereas Tyrese is a superstar talent. That's cool.
All right. Well, I mean, he's to say a 6'11", 240-pound guy is an undersized forward is an interesting thing. People don't realize just how big Sabonis is. He's bigger than most centers.
Nah, I don't agree with that.
I don't know, man. He's one of the better interior scorers in the game. Multiple All-Star. He's great in the skills. Good rebound. Good passer. I mean, he's definitely pretty good. And
he's definitely pretty good. I don't think he's the size that you describe him as, because I think when you put him next to LeBron James, he actually looks tiny. So if he was that size, he wouldn't look so small.
He is. He's 6'11", 240.
No, I know that's what the internet says he is, but then when you watch the games and you actually see these guys side by side,
well, LeBron's more than 240. I mean, height and width, I guess, are two different things. So I guess
he is LeBron's size, Cage. Which isn't,
but I mean, like 240.
That's small for
if you stand me next to Sabonis, right? He's gonna look big because he's got me by 11 inches, but I actually outweigh him by a sizable amount.
Don't trust the internet. Don't trust the internet. He's not 6'11".
All right. Well, I mean, look, it is what it is. I mean, I've seen him play. I have watched him play, and while he looks like he look like a small center, I guess, but I mean, I think they're two bad teams, right? And
let me ask you real quick, Cage. Sorry to cut you off. He's gonna get pissed at me. He wants to get out of here in the off. Who looks bigger on the court, Miles Turner or Sabonis?
They look about the same size.
No way. All right,
they look about the same size. They look about the same size.
Miles towers over him. Go ahead. I apologize for cutting you off.
No, it's okay. What else you got?
No. Hey, go back on your get back on the train. I apologize for saying Sabonis is too small to play inside.
I mean, Miles Turner is obviously bigger. He's the center. I mean, he's not a very good center.
What? Dude, Miles is good, man. Shot block, leader of the
league. Yeah. He can block shots and he can stretch the floor. I mean, he's not going to really give you much on offense. I give the Pacers a really good grade on this, and here's why, right? These are teams looking to change their fortune, right? And really where I'm going to go with this is they basically traded dollar for dollar on contracts on Buddy and Sabonis, right? So I do a little deeper dive, right? I don't trust the internet, but most of the time the internet's right. So I won't trust it, but I'll just trust you. So Buddy has 2 years and $38 million left. Sabonis has 2 years and $38 million left. I'm rounding. But one's got like 37 and change and one's got like 38 and change. That doesn't take into account what the remainder of this season is for each one. But that's the beyond this season what they're making. So basically they traded dollar for dollar Sabonis, Buddy, contract. And the Pacers are the one that get Halliburton, who has $4 million next year, $5 million year after, and then would be eligible for a qualified offer in his third year, which currently is like 7.9. So, you get 3 years of Halliburton for what you were getting 1 year of either of these guys, right? He's under contract for a long time, and what does it do? It kind of changes the dynamic of the Pacers as a destination to go and as a place to build, right? I'm sure they'll still have a decent draft pick coming this year because the team is pretty terrible, right? But think about it now. They have Halliburton and Duarte, real young, intriguing backcourt with some size and shooting ability, right? So that's a nice backcourt. Turner, as you say, quality center, shot blocker, stretches the court. Brogdon, veteran guard, somebody who these other two can learn from, play with, play off of. TJ Warren, right? If the dude ever gets healthy, right? Good piece, right?
Well, TJ Warren has one injury. He's just recovering from a pretty serious broken foot.
Yeah, he's got that injury now, but he always seems to have some sort of nagging thing that takes him out. But right now, look, the Pacers, I don't know whether or not this change makes them better this year, and I don't know whether they want to get better, because right now they'd be the number 5 pick in the league. To add to that nice young nucleus, that nice core there, if they could jump into the top 4, and you're talking about pieces like Banchero, Holmgren, Jabari Smith, Jaden Ivey, they're real close to like the top guys in the draft, which would really make this an intriguing, young, talented team. And they'd have one of the better young cores in the league, right? If you go back a couple of episodes ago, I said bye Chris Duarte. And, I've always been a Halliburton guy. I said the reason why Duarte was the guy to pick up was because I said LeVert and Sabonis were going to get traded, and they're going to need somebody to score. That has happened. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think this is, go with the Pacers on this one, right? It was basically a money swap, and if they happen to move Buddy, makes it even better. They don't really need Buddy. But
no one needs.
They don't really need him. No one needs him. What? The Lakers could
Everyone
use him.
needs Buddy. Air
right?
Bud.
The Lakers could use him,
I love
right?
Air Bud, man.
Right? Don't you think? Don't you think the Lakers, right? Obviously, LeBron didn't want him. He could have had him. You say that all the time.
LeBron's a whack job. Here's what I'm saying. I think Tyrese is gonna start putting up Luka type numbers in the next season, and you're actually gonna see some of that by the end of this season. Because if you got, not a lot of people got a chance to watch Tyrese in Sacramento, he's probably not as talented as Edwards if we're just looking at that draft class. In my opinion, he's significantly better than LaMelo. What he has, though, that those other two guys don't have is he's relentlessly on the attack when he's playing. There's some guys, they'll give you 20 and they'll kind of stop. What I'm worried is Anthony Edwards is that guy. He's not relentless enough for me yet. Halliburton is relentless. He's always attacking, always attacking, always attacking. And
don't mess with Halliburton. They'll turn you into a bird.
Can I tell you? So Halliburton's my play. I'm going to come back to exactly how to play it.
Nice.
Another team I'm incredibly bullish on. So let me ask you. Pelicans tonight play the Rockets. Both teams, bottom tier teams, right? Mm-hmm. Pelicans are favored by 9 points, even though they traded basically most of their role players away. Mm-hmm. And this team, it's a lot better than their record shows. And if you guys dig a little bit deeper, Devontae Graham is that's a guy that you want on your team. You've said that time and time again. That's a guy that's
not exactly cardboard relevant, unless you live in my house.
He'll make players around him cardboard relevant because he has the right mindset and they have a good culture. Brandon Ingram is a beast, man. If you guys watch that guy play, he's not as good as KD, but he's like a KD 1/2 instead of 2.0, which is still incredible, which is still pretty good. 25 points a game, very difficult defender. Now you got CJ McCollum. Now you have this very dynamic team and then you have Jonas Valanciunas, which that's a big boy. That's a big boy. And then you have Jackson Hayes running the floor. And hold up. Now you have all of these perimeter players, and who comes back? Big boy Zion drinking Mountain Dews. That team is not far off. And I'll tell you, most people don't even know this, but the guy who coaches them, Willie Green, Sixers legend. I'm not going to call him a legend. But, dude, he's got that team. They're tough. They're gritty. They play hard, even though they've been out talent all year. This Pelicans team I'm very excited. It's funny. Zion went to Portland at the Nike headquarters to do rehab, and he brought CJ back with him.
That's it. Pretty smart. No tampering. Let me ask you, because you get to Halliburton, you have a play on Halliburton, like a card, or just, hey, look at Halliburton stuff?
I have a play. It's actually a very thought out play.
Nice,
in these things, if you could see today, obviously a ton of Halliburton sales, cardboard ladder sales history, super, super happy using it. You'll see a ton of sales volume spike. Sell your junk Halliburton, wait 2 to 3 weeks over All-Star break, and buy 1 or 2 good cards of Halliburton versus owning all that junk. An example of a good card is like one of his select from his rookie season. Select, let me see, card 189 ungraded in a blue is like $8, and then you could sub that to SGC. A silver is like $4 select rookie. So sell your junky shit, your hoops, your flux capacitors, your clearly white ass and Dunras and all that stuff, and pick up a select or prism for that, or National Treasures. Dude, the guy's gonna be a star. You're gonna see $100,000 Halliburton sale in 2 years. The guy's a beast.
We looked all over the National for base Prism Halliburtons, and no one wanted to sell us any. You remember that? That was what we were going in there to look for. I gave that play, sell your Luka.
I will trade you my Luka Prism Silver PSA 10 for all of your base Halliburtons.
No one wanted to sell us any. It was crazy.
They said, what else you got?
Yeah, pretty much. That's the deal, right? So, hey, look, it's fun stuff. Let me ask you, is Joel Embiid going to legally change his name to Troll Embiid? Is he the best troll in the business or what? Did you see what he did? You see what he did last night? So during all of this crazy, Harden for Simmons baloney that was going on last night, right? He's tweeting. Joel Embiid is tweeting. I know you hate him, so you'll never give him a fair share anyway, but he's tweeting, time to run. I don't
know why.
Then he writes, time to ratio. Then he writes, time to counter. And people are like, oh, wow, clearly he's like, counter. There's trade offer. There's talk going on. And then he follows up that he's talking about the Madrid soccer game. And he's just talking about time to counter. And he's like live tweeting, what was going on in the game. I mean, just funny stuff, man.
Three out of 10 max on the troll level grade there.
It's just one, and it's relevant because it was yesterday's. He's had better. But the point is, it leads me to my question.
Tell me on Embiid.
I like Embiid, man. I do. I like him. I mean, part of that is I'm a big man, and I have an affinity for the big man. I grew up, watching, I would say, the dominance of the big man. It was Shaq was the guy who brought everybody back into this, and could Shaq be as good as Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing? There's more,
which one of them that you mentioned was the softest?
I think Ewing. Ewing never really worked out. You know what I mean? Like, he looked the same body type as when he was in college through his whole career.
Impose your strength. I like Big Ben too. I like Shaq. I like Hakeem. I would even throw Charles into that for some reason, even though he's not a big man.
Alonzo Mourning was a big one. Alonzo Mourning was awesome.
Like when big men impose their will instead of
Dikembe.
Because they're very. Tim Grover, I know I quote him all the time.
Yes.
He says there's something about a lot of big men that because people look up to them their whole lives, they're very subconscious. And Shaq was the other way around. Shaq was the toughest big man he's ever been around. So Embiid's a little bit too soft for, I want to see Embiid dunk on people, ferociously. Not tiptoe and dance and do these fadeaways and three-pointers. It's cool. I respect it. He's got a nice touch. He's got really, really good handles for a big man. He's got a good shot, but I just want to see him dunk on people.
So let me ask you. I only bring him up
just because in the playoffs, that kind of stuff matters to kind of win over the momentum when the shots aren't falling. That's it. No, sorry.
So I want to hear your take with hours to go before the trade deadline.
I'm not a prognosticator. I'm more like a Monday morning quarterback. You've already said this.
True, but that's why I put you in an uncomfortable position. Does Simmons get traded? And if so, is it a trade that involves Harden?
I hate both those guys.
You hate a lot of guys.
No, I don't.
You definitely do. You definitely do. You definitely do. 100%. So now the story that's going around there is
did I watch too much Skip Bayless growing up?
Maybe. But the story going around now is that Philly is saying they're signing Harden at the end of the season. They're going to sign him in free agency, whether they trade for him or not. Harden is going to be theirs. Daryl Morey wants him, loves his style of play, even though the Nets don't. I think that's kind of like a little, a little dig, like a little, hey, we want you. Nets don't really want you. We want you kind of thing, to get in Harden's ear. If the trade was made, I'll take it a different way. Because you're Punxsutawney Phil. You're going to tell everybody there's 6 more weeks of winter. By the way, Punxsutawney Phil gets it wrong more than he gets it right. Staten Island Chuck, folks. Staten Island Chuck, a groundhog competitor, is right about 80% of the time. And this year, He said early spring. Punxsutawney Phil says 6 more weeks of winter. You go with whichever one you want. He's a survivor. De Blasio dropped Staten Island Chuck on his head. You think he had a problem? No. He showed up for work the next year because he only works one day.
I think I resonate with Chuck. We're not the big name out there, but we try to get it right more times than we don't. And I think we've done that. And I think recently we've done that even more so. So, Chuck, keep hitting those numbers. Don't worry about Punxsutawney.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's where I go. So I will sell you Embiid, but I think what my question to you will be before I sell you Embiid is if there is or whatever else is in there, pieces matter. But if those are the centerpieces, which team would you rather be? Who wins that? The team getting Simmons?
Okay. Nets or Sixers?
Nets or Sixers.
3 seconds.
Yeah, Nets or Sixers. Who wins that trade?
I mean, obviously.
Obviously, nothing.
Here's where I go. These are both the dysfunctional teams that are set up dysfunctionally. Look who you have. You have Doc Rivers at the helm, with Morey putting together a roster, which he's trying to do in Houston. Doc Rivers has had all the talent, and he has never won with the talent. Remember Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin in his prime? That team was insane. He couldn't win. Doc Rivers always makes terrible decisions. James Harden has a style where he needs the ball most, if not all of the time. I don't know how that's going to work, and I think that's going to hurt the development of a ton of the young talent. Matt Thibault, Maxey, hell, Embiid is super young. And Embiid isn't a pick and roll guy that goes to the basket and Harden could throw him oops. He likes to get the ball and also do these moves out on the perimeter. So I don't know how that's going to work. And then you have Simmons, Durant, Kyrie as your 3 players on the Nets. That's more of a head case than before. There's literally no leadership there. So I think it hurts both teams. I don't see the value. I think these teams are addition by subtraction by addition, both sides. That's why I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the Harden trade at all. Okay.
Embiid. I say buy his stuff. You guys know I talked about him already. And, I have other plays, and I want to talk to you about some other stuff as well, right? He's starting to get into, rarefied territory, right? Numbers, you name it. And I talk about, that little intangible, little extra, right? And I think the whole Simmons circus makes what Embiid is doing now even better. It's an even more noteworthy thing because you could be talented, you could work at your craft, you can go out there night after night and do your stuff, but it's another thing to do it when you have all of this, outside bullshit that you have to answer about and talk about and deal with, and it has nothing to do with what's going on the court. And then you still go out there and you do your thing, right? All-star starter for the 5th consecutive year. Pretty nice, wow. Right? All-star starter 5 consecutive years.
5 years he's been...
5 consecutive years. And
wow.
Each year getting a little bit better, right? That's fine.
100% true.
It's not surprising that he's on a tear. I mean, you forget, as good as he is this year, he was second to Jokic last year in MVP voting, right? He can go off at any point in time, right? What I like is he's in the paint, right? He's not trying to chuck up 3-pointers, every shot. He knows where he's going to go and make his hay. And the defense knows where he's going to go and make his hay, and they still can't stop him, right? 40 against the Bulls on Sunday. 40 against the Bulls on Sunday, right? 25 points or more. 20 consecutive games. There's only one other dude in Philly history that did that. That's the wrong answer. You want to know what the right answer is? No, that's the wrong answer. Hey, I said the word answer 5 times. You finally got it. So 27 straight is what Iverson had. And that was during his 2000-2001 MVP season. All right? 20 straight games, at least 25 points. They knew he was going to do it. Couldn't stop him anyway. Here's the fun part, right? He's still around plus 220, plus 230 to win the MVP. I think that's a nice little number there. I think I'm going to start putting on there, right? Because it's not just that he has had 20 games where he scored 25 or more. In that 20-game stretch, the Ben Simmons-less, drama-filled 76ers are 16-4 and have moved up to a home playoff spot. Right? I mean, we talk about how it's all jumbled up and who knows, they could fall to 7th. They can be as high as 1st, right? But they're sitting in 4th, right? It's one thing to score, one thing to get yours, right? But when you're the primary scorer on a team that's 16-4 during that run and you're heading towards the playoffs, these are the things that MVP candidacies are built on. And when you throw in for historical purposes.
They play the Suns tonight, Cage.
Yeah, I think I'll beat the Suns. The Suns, yeah, because it's a back-to-back for the Suns, and the Suns were up big last night and had to hold them off. And did you watch the Suns game?
Of course.
Right? That was a game that they were up by double digits, it seemed, for the entire game and wound up only winning by 3. So the Suns are going to come into that game with tired legs, and DeAndre Ayton's lunch, I think he packed a bologna sandwich. At the end of the game, you're going to see Embiid with bologna all over his face. He's going to eat Ayton's lunch. You're going to see a pretend big man against a real big man. And this is the kind of thing, right, where this is where the Suns will struggle. They have no answer for a big man that can score, a big man that can dominate in the paint. You better hope that they're not against somebody like Giannis or somebody like Embiid in the finals, because that is
the Suns win by double figures.
All right,
I think people don't understand, like, teams that actually run plays versus teams that have one option to score. Did you watch the Suns game?
I watched the whole game.
How incredible is their ball movement and their playmaking?
When Booker is on, they are very good, and you could tell from the first quarter that he is on. What did he score? 16 in the first quarter? They had like 30 something points in the first quarter.
I have a new comparison to Booker. I have a new comp for Booker.
A killer right at the end of the quarter. He hit that 3-point dagger where he stepped back right in front of their bench, and it was like there was no room to shoot that. And he was chirping at the bench. I mean, you could tell he was on, and when he's on, they could beat anybody.
Mikal Bridges, 38% 3-point shooter. Cam Johnson, 38% 3-point shooter. Jack Crowder, 38%.
Yeah, so what? Halliburton's a 41% 3-point shooter. So what?
What do you
Numbers? I mean, is Halliburton that good? I mean, it didn't translate to wins. It doesn't translate to wins. 3-point percentages, it's one of those things, right? The stats don't matter. You like to talk about how rebounds don't matter? Yeah, the stats don't matter. Jaren Jackson Jr. is not a great 3-point shooter. He's a great big man 3-point shooter, but he shoots 40-something%. Why? Because he's usually wide open. He takes a couple a game. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. So you say the Suns tonight by double digits.
I disagree with that. Yeah, I said the Suns by double digits.
But I'm picking on the guys that you clearly like. And
it's not, I like good basketball. I like ball movement. I like running sets and plays, and I love watching Chris Paul work, man. My comparison for Booker, the more I watch him, he reminds me of Clay a lot, man.
Okay. Booker? No.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't see that.
I'll explain why I said that. So there was this chart Kirk Goldsberry put out, Goldsberry maybe, and it was like efficiency for different players. And shockingly, efficiency on jump shots specifically. And the thing that Booker doesn't have and Kobe has, and this is better or worse, is Booker was like the ultimate efficient player. He doesn't shoot too much, and he's efficient. I don't know how he measures that. Curry is the most efficient in that. But
it makes sense.
He's not a volume shooter. He's not going to go and shoot 30, 40, 50 shots a game. He's only going to take really his open shots, his good shots. Whereas Kobe would go out and he'd volume shoot. Some games he'd be like 10 for 30. Other games he'd be like 23 for 45. So he's a volume guy, and that hurts your efficiency. Book is incredibly efficient, and he fits in that offense really well with Chris Paul. And it reminds me of Clay. Clay is never going to go out there and volume shoot. Clay is only going to shoot his good shots. And that's why you see him have such high percentages.
Okay. So let me ask you something. Because it's cool. We'll have a friendly wager. I say Philly wins tonight. You say the Suns win by double digits. Guess what? We do a show every day. So we can come back tomorrow. Same Luka time. Same
the
Luka channel.
spread is a pick, so I don't need to bet double digits.
That's fine. We'll just have the pick. You said they were going to bet double digits. I didn't put those words in your mouth. That's your own. But I still think Philly wins.
But in a bet, I don't want a worse number.
So forget about the 10. You just say they win. You are already backtracking. It's great. 5 minutes later, and it's Mr. Confidence has lost.
No, if they win by double digits, I want 4-1 odds.
Okay. I'll give you 4-1 odds. You get 4 handshakes instead of 1. Jesus Christ! Way to kill a segment. Holy shit! It is what it is, pal. I mean, you're fine. Great. Yeah, we'll give you 4-1 odds. What the fuck are we betting? What have you been talking about? Oh my God! You gotta love it. Okay, so here you go. The next topic, right? The next fun one. All right.
Cage, you didn't even bring this up. How did you not bring this up? From Kalen Mack. I just heard a rumor from internal reliable source that the 76ers are acquiring star James Harden in a trade that would send Ben Simmons, Danny Green, and a 2023 first-round pick.
Yeah, but those have been going all around. How long is that tweet? How old is that one? I've seen ones with Seth Curry. I've seen ones with Danny Green, all with blue checks. I know that Harden's sitting out tonight.
The blue check mark brigade.
Yeah, I've seen all day today blue check marks with different ones. One with Danny Green, one with Seth Curry.
Take Danny Green, leave Seth Curry. I hate Danny Green. I hate too many players.
Yep, this is the thing. You hate a lot of people. It's irrational hatred. This is the deal, right? So let me ask you something. If you had let's call it I don't know. Let's come up with a card.
My entire existence after this.
You should. Let's come up with a card like off the top of my head. Oh, let's think about it. What would be a good card to come up with off the top of my head? Let's just say, I'm going to pull one out of thin air. Let's just say you had a Zion National Treasures RPA on 99. Would you rather have it in an SGC 9.5 or a BGS 9.5? Honest question.
BGS 9.5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with BGS 9.5 too. But it gets you thinking, doesn't it? And obviously, I didn't pull that card out of my hat. I didn't pull that out at random. We started talking about this a little bit yesterday, and you saw, a lot of posts that the Zion that sold for $500 and whatever $1,000, almost $600,000, just crazy, over $500,000. It's in a BGS 9.5 gem mint case with a 10 auto, and the same card previously resided in an SGC 9.5 with a 10 auto. And it gets me thinking, right? I guess you could say that there's really only 3 things that you can surmise from this if you had kind of like a science experiment. 1, BGS is overpriced and people are paying too much for it. 2, the SGC slabs are underpriced and people aren't paying enough for them because somebody bought this card, likely cracked it, and it was graded higher by BGS. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. It probably doubled the price, maybe more, than what that thing would have sold for in an SGC 9.5. So either we're paying too much for BGS, we're not paying enough for SGC. And guys, remember, SGC is a sponsor of the podcast, but obviously we're talking about this because it is one of the more relevant pieces of news that's out there from the hobby from this past weekend. So it's either BGS, people are paying too much, SGC, people are not paying enough, or the third option is maybe it's a little bit of both. And what's going to happen from this when people realize this? You could say this is a great example of kind of, the reverse of buy the card, not the holder, right? I mean, that's one of those things, right? People say, buy the card, not the holder. This one, are people buying the holder? Or did the person not know that this was in an SGC case before? Are we going to see people cracking SGC cases now because BGS might be a more lenient grader? Does it show that SGC, even on these ultra modern high end cards, is a credible grader? Do we see what I think may happen? People start to pay more for these ultra modern SGC slabs to crack it and send it somewhere else, or because they realize now that if you just take the card, right, the card is what you're supposed to be buying. I mean, we all know that the grading matters. We all know that the put card in a slab makes a big difference, right? It's authenticated, it's grading, and all that other fun stuff. But if I were SGC, after I sat there and thought about this for a little while and said, all right, the BGS slab got more money, I think I'd be happy about this. I would. I think I'd be happy about this because I think I'd be sitting there saying, clearly it shows that we are not an easy grader. We are a credible grader when it comes to these cards. And the card itself is a $500,000 card right now. So maybe people aren't paying enough for SGC 9.5s on modern cards. And maybe you see a little bit of an uptick on the secondary market of SGC 9.5s, definitely on 10s. Just my thought. I don't know what SGC is thinking.
There's this concept of leading and lagging measures that I always think about, like, I'm losing weight. Well, that's a lagging measure based on the habits that you did previously, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think this is a leading measure where the market is coming around to SGC. And I think in the future, like you said, 9.5s, 10s, across the board, people will, there will be more demand because people know they're a credible grader. And there's stuff you could do with these cards and more demand. Yeah. And I also think that you're just going to start seeing more of these high ticket cards being sub to SGC as well with quick turnaround times. People care about that. And so,
I mean, listen, that was where I went with it. First blush, it's like, wow, that if it were, because you see the two pictures, like how much would the buyer have paid for the one in the SGC holder? And first
the buyer
blush,
knew CJ McCullough was going to the Pelicans. Insider knowledge. He is friends with Nancy Pelosi.
Insider trading. No, but I mean, at first blush, you think to yourself, all right, well, that car would have went for something in the twos, maybe. Maybe high twos, half the price if it was in that SGC 9.5 holder. But it's the same card. You know what I mean? It's the same card. So
you know what I'm thinking now?
Shoot,
Jordan Fleers in SGC holders. They look pretty nice.
Yeah,
and to be honest, I think Jordan cards look really awesome in those holders.
I think there's an SGC 10 in an auction currently going right now, and it's definitely selling for a decent amount of money. Go ahead.
I'm curious what the hobby thinks. Holders are always an interesting thing, but we don't think of holders always the right way because there's two ways to think of like the cases that these companies use. There's the aesthetic and there's the technology, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, what do you guys out there, if you want to leave us a comment, if we make a graphic. By the way, Alex, if the baby's here, Mazel Tov at Simmons. Congratulations, my friend.
Alex from our team adding another tiger. Another tiger. It's kind of like when the panda's being born in San Diego. We got a tiger being born today. It's pretty awesome. Hopefully nobody falls into the tiger pen for that one. Got a little extra tiger coming in today. We have to send over a nice little NFT, as a little baby gift there. Listen,
but there's the aesthetic and there's the text. I'm curious what people think, if they have any recommendations, suggestions, if it matters, if it doesn't, if the technology of like the label is more important than how it looks. I'm curious what people think about that kind of stuff.
Listen, I love it. You got any announcements for anybody? You got any things coming? I mean, you got any stuff coming? Anything? Maybe.
I love it. Cage is ultimately he leads this fish to water, and then he kicks it in. Get in there.
Yeah, it's a blowfish. It's gonna kill me one day. That's the problem.
Oh. So you're back to drinking soda.
Yeah, you know what? I had one. It was in my fridge here. And I was thirsty.
Show him the fridge. Show him the fridge.
My. I got this from Secret Santa 4 years ago. It's a pretty awesome gift. Little fridge, the little door opens up. Look, you can put 4 cans of soda in here, or 1 bottle if you put it in kind of like sideways at an angle. But yeah, I happen to open a fridge and I'm like, oh, this is soda perfect. I don't have to get up and get one of these like foofy seltzers that they have here. But hey,
Before we started, Cage was off video, but I heard in the background he left the audio, and he's like, "I printed this out. Please review this, and let's have this shipped out by tomorrow morning." I was like, "This guy actually works. It's not always movie quotes, cards, and jokes."
Yeah, I save that for you guys. But look, I got a lot of jobs. That's it. That's the best job.
Did Ian get you that?
Yeah, you got me that at like some Christmas fair or some school thing because I told him I work I do construction, so you got me a hammer.
The cutest thing was when Cage was sick and Cage wouldn't hug Ian for whatever weird reason, and Ian hugged the football and threw it at Cage and said, "Here's a hug."
I'm throwing a hug at you. Listen, the cutest thing happened.
We're gonna have Jeff Wilson on the show on
the
Thursday.
Yeah, I laid down a gauntlet for this guy. I tell him, hey, I got a challenge for you. See if you can get Jeff Wilson on the show. 12 hours later. Done. It's pretty amazing.
It's interesting. Like, I could take credit because I'm pretty good at what I do. But really, what Jeff said right back was, I hope Cage has some rant saved for me. So I did ask.
I got to go practice my rants.
But you're the star. Like, people know you. People respect you. So that's all you, big guy.
We're having fun, man. We're having fun. We are all having fun.
I hate literally half the NBA players.
Listen, there's irrational hatred. It's part of fantasy. One of these guys must have screwed you out of a fantasy championship one year or something like that. That's got to be what it is. But listen, guys, this is the time, right? This is the time. Basketball trade deadline, Super Bowl next week. I think the 16th. So I think of 1 week. Topps Series 1 is coming out. You got Wander Franco's first Topps card, his rookie card. I mean, we're starting to get warmer weather. We're starting to have some fun here. The baseball lockout will probably end soon. We got this crazy stuff. Enjoy this. It's one of these cool weeks where you get a lot to talk about, a lot of topics, a lot of fun stuff. We're going to have Jeff Wilson, sports card investor, on. We're probably due, maybe a trade deadline, show, maybe Friday. We'll kind of recap the stuff. Guys, if you're not following us, follow us on Whatnot. We have a major giveaway thanks to the Whatnot guys. It's our last NFL football show on Sunday morning. They gave us the ability to buy a card. Silk Road Sports gave us a Joe Burrow SGC 10 Optic Hollow rookie. I mean, just a banger of a card. And someone is going to win it for free. Andrew's going to run the giveaway because I don't know how. He's going to help me out. We'll figure that out between now and Sunday. And
if the hotels turn off the power.
Yeah, like
scheduled maintenance. They scheduled maintenance 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
But we're going to give that away. And I am breaking, after we do all our prop bets and all of our fun stuff, I'm breaking a 2020 Select Football Hobby box. Right? It's like a $1,500, $2,000 box. Maybe get a Joe Burrow autograph. There's 2 autos. We got like 10 silvers in that box. Just a crazy, crazy box. We're gonna do auctions pack by pack. You rip a pack, whatever comes in the pack, you get, just like we did with the playoff box last week. We got some fun stuff. We got that awesome Super Bowl show on Sunday. Just a lot of cool things coming down the pike, and we appreciate each and every one of you guys for listening and for allowing us to do this stuff. What do you got, man?
I mean,
saying goodbye.
That was perfect.
Boom.
Rams,
dude.
Rams won it.
What is the spread? 4.5. I mean, you could do
Joe Burrow.
You can do, because you have it's just Joe Burrow against the Rams. The Rams are better on. I mean, the Bengals have a better quarterback, right? The number 1 wide receivers, pretty good on both teams. I mean, Cooper Kupp, he's pretty damn good, and Jamar Chase, pretty damn good. Tight end play. Both of them happen to get injured because I picked props for them last week. Higbee and
the Rams and
wow. Higbee and Uzama, man. They were both of my plays. They both went out in the first quarter.
Uzama said he's coming back.
Yeah, we'll see, man. So T. Higgins gonna have a good game. They'll be throwing the ball. But I mean, listen, honestly, I don't like Matthew Stafford. I think he makes a mistake, and that might keep it close in the beginning. But I think the Rams just kill him. I really do. I think the Rams are just the better team. I think it's
if we win the AFC North, I don't see why, if we can't win the AFC North, why we can't win this whole thing.
That's not the answer. The answer is if you get through the gauntlet, that is the AFC. You could win.
That's what Joey Burrow said.
Not just the North. I'm talking about the whole thing.
Run.
But listen, I agree with that. It's part of the reason why if I'm in the ear of Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, I tell them Brady went to Tampa for a reason, right? Because he didn't want to go through the AFC. Part of the reason he left New England. It's very hard to get the Super Bowl out of the AFC right now. It's what I've been saying all along. Why I don't like the Raiders' chances.
If they could win the AFC North, they could win the Super Bowl. October 29th.
Yeah, okay.
Cage.
All right, but that's fine.
How are you going to fight with fate?
Listen, even in Disney movies.
You're going to tempt fate.
Even in Disney movies, Cinderella, as gorgeous as she is, the lovely slippers, right? The pumpkin still comes at midnight, right?
Do you remember
That's
in Friday
man.
Night Lights where he got the screen pass and he's running for the end zone, he gets hit, and then he turns and he reaches out and he leaves it just 1 inch short.
Yes. I remember that. In Varsity Blues, they scored the winning touchdown, Billy Bob. It's a better movie, better ending.
Purple Pudding Slingers?
Varsity Blues. I watched that with Ian the other day.
It's inappropriate.
He was a fan of the whipped cream bikini. I'll tell you that much. Hey now. All right, guys. We love you.
He's an 8.